Hey there, how are y'all? It's Elizabeth. I'm back. Thank you all for being so patient with me. I needed a meaty break in order to get my shit together and work on an exciting project that I hope to release for you loving souls soon. I'm so torn between giving into my excitement and telling you guys about it now or keeping it a secret so I don't put more on my plate. You know what I mean? Honestly, both options sound worth it to me. Also, I want you to disregard my messiness with my site because I'm working on organizing my services and my content in an efficient way. And if you're wondering why you can't find certain things I've mentioned in my previous episodes, that's why. But don't worry, you can find all the correct links in all of my bios, like on my Instagram, all that good, all my, like my social media and my website. My website is like the main platform pretty much. The Imaginary Goddess. Anywho, before I start this episode, I have a few things to say. I'm going to experiment with my intros from now on because I want to start each episode with a book divination reading, which I will explain once I get into it. But I also want you to know that this is the first part of a little series where I discuss the impact. Well, would I call it a series? Whatever. I want to tell you before we start this reading that I am going to be reading from a script that I made because my short-term memory ass can't remember shit. So I had to write out stuff for me to say so I could remember it to say to you guys. So if it sounds like I'm reading off of shit, I am. So forget it. Now, let's get into that book divination first, because I'm excited. The book I'm using is called Letters to a Starseed. And, okay, let me take my bookmark out so there's no cheating. I was on page 22. Okay. Letters to a Starseed by Rebecca Campbell. Campbell. Okay. It's Letters to a Starseed, Messages and Activations for Remembering Who You Are and Why You Came Here. For those of you that don't know what a starseed is, it explains it in this book, but if you don't know what a starseed is, Google it. We don't have time for that. We have a lot to discuss. Okay. So book divination is you take your book, typically a designated book for this stuff, but you take your book, flip to a page. You got to trust yourself. Flip to the page. Ooh, here it is. And then you read it and you take whatever resonates with you, So we have page 158, Plant Yourself Here, and 159, We Are Like Flowers. Excuse me, let me turn on my reading voice. All right, let's get into it. So, this is what it says. Find your flower. I believe that nature is teaching us how to be human every moment of every day. And that flowers, in particular, hold information about who we are and who we're becoming, blooming, and transforming into. I believe that here on this planet, we each have a flower that holds a similar quality to who we are at a soul level. Celestial notes to self. Flowers sent from the soul to others on the earth to remind us who we really are. I believe that in different periods of our life, as new things are blooming within us, the qualities that are wanting to open up within us can be coaxed out by working with others. I believe that it's impossible to work with others and not have your heart open more and more, and little by little They will return you to the true nature of who you really are. Soul inquiry. This is a question that you ask yourself. If you were a flower, what flower would you be? Here's the next page. We are like flowers. Maybe flowers are here to teach us how to be human, how to unashamedly embrace our true nature, no matter how different or beautiful. To realize that we're not meant to look around or sound or act the same. That diversity isn't just important, but necessary for life. To keep remembering that there's a sacred timing to things, that there's enough room for everyone, and that it's impossible to bloom all year round. Maybe flowers are here to teach us how to be human, to stand tall like the poppy and strong like the thistle, to be resilient like heather, and our roots deep like the fig, to defy the norm like the hawthorn, to courageously open through our fears wholeheartedly like the peony, to be unapologetic like the passion flower, to remember our sweet innocence like jasmine, to take a leap and go first like the daffodil, to be willing to risk it all like cherry blossom, to know it's never too late like the winter rose, to trust the changing seasons of our life like the hydrangea. Some of us are here to inspire like the garden rose. Others are here to activate and protect like the crown of thorns. Some are sensitive like the orchid. Others are here to leave a mark like the lily. Yes, perhaps that's what flowers are here to teach us, how to be our unique selves on planet Earth. This is your message from the universe. Be yourself. If that cute ass poem resonated with you, please tell me all about it. I would love to know. Now, are you ready to get into this episode? Yes, you are. That's why you're here. Anywho. So today we will be talking about the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I have a lot to say, so I'm splitting it up, and I will explain how our limiting beliefs shape our lives. And if you haven't read the book, I definitely recommend it so that you can take it from your own perspective and pair it with your own experiences. But anyway, let's get into it, shall we? Understanding perspective is so important when you're going through a journey of healing. The first thing the book explains is your reality is nothing but a dream. You dream when you're asleep and when you're awake. In the book, it says the difference is that when the brain is awake, there is a material frame that makes us perceive things in a linear way. When we go to sleep, we do not have the frame, and the dream has the tendency to change constantly. What I think he means by the material frame is what you see around you, the earth, the people, the animals, every tangible person or thing you see. And you don't get that when you're asleep. And if you don't understand what he means by calling your dream a reality, and if you don't understand what he means by calling your reality a dream, think of the dream as the perspective. It's not the same for everybody. And you will never have the same perspective as someone else, even though you are looking at the same thing. We all coexist, and what we do has a cause and effect. All of our dreams are overlapping. That's why our dreams have the tendency to constantly change. Miguel Ruiz calls the collective dream the dream of the planet. defined as the collective dream of billions of smaller personal dreams, which together create a dream of a family, a dream of a community, a dream of a city, a dream of a country, and finally, a dream of the whole humanity. The dream of a planet includes all of society's rules, its beliefs, its laws, its religions, its different cultures and way to be, its governments, schools, social events, and holidays. He mentions that before we were born, the people before us created the societal dream that we know. I believe we can and will do the same thing for the people born after us. I mean, it's kind of our duty if you think about it. Anyway, this book also mentions that to what we give our attention to is what our dream or perspective embodies. This is because the amount of your energy you choose to place into a thought, a person, a project, a lifestyle, a sentence, or anything, the more likely you are to manifest that into your reality. That is why it is a competition to hold someone's attention. You want them to invest their energy into manifesting what you want them to manifest. For example, you might want them to manifest your product into their possessions, so you try to gain their attention with an ad. Or you want to become romantically involved with someone. So you get dressed up, you put on whatever, and you probably want to make a grand gesture to compete for their attention. However, the outside dream, or the dream of the planet, hooks our attention because there is always something to learn and experience. This is how we discover our own personal beliefs, values, lifestyles, preferences, and so much more about ourselves. By giving our attention to many new and different ideas. And as children, we never chose to be who we are now. We never chose our name, what language to speak, what religions to believe in, what family to have, but we did agree with it. We agreed with it. I mean, we didn't really have a choice, did we? I mean, it was only for our own survival, and honestly, we didn't know better. We were children. But as we grow up, we obviously have the choice to change all of that, bend everything to our own will. These agreements, these beliefs, were passed from the collective dream that was pre-established before us. And Miguel Ruiz says, as soon as we agree with something, we believe it. And this is what we call faith. I believe that the world is just a big old playground. I'm a Sagittarius moon. This is what I believe. The earth is free for exploring dreams, creating dreams, changing dreams. And for example, if you don't like the way society is structured, set out to change it. Dream up a new society. Find those like-minded souls to help you create this dream. In my opinion, the only thing you have to lose is your honor. If you don't at least try a little, you know? Miguel calls the process of not choosing your beliefs and not being strong enough to rebel against them the domestication of humans. Children are domesticated the same way pets are, by parents teaching them right from wrong, how to act, and the like, using a punishment and reward system. And same goes for adults. But in this scenario, our parents, quote unquote, would be the government or the authority in general, law enforcement and the like. And the reward we get is attention. Like new laws, new places to go, new things to buy, all that stuff just to keep us asking for more and, like under the little thumb. But that is why in this current era, the age of Aquarius in 2021, we start abruptly changing, switching things up that don't align with the dream that we want to create in our lives, in our society, for our own sake. Laws are just a collective agreement, in my opinion. Laws are just a collective agreement that we as a society are able to change if we really wanted to. In the age of Aquarius, which is the age we're in now, we start to focus more of the collective healing and innovation in order to move out of the old ways and into the new ways, into the new world, into the new age. This is the year where we start ushering that in. And in case you haven't noticed, the old standards, the old laws, old beliefs, structures, officials, and relationships, and all that good doesn't work with the current and newer generations. And it's about time we start changing it. So it's important that we start throwing shit out that doesn't feel right without stopping to worry that it won't work out, because it will if we just keep going at it. And it is what we're being called to do for our own sake. But now getting into the first agreement. The first agreement is called Be Impeccable With Your Word. This agreement is the most difficult to honor. This is what he says. It's the most difficult to honor, but the most powerful out of the four. And let me tell you, that is so true. You know it's true. I mean, you'll know what I mean when I start explaining it to you. Being impeccable with your words simply looks like not using your words against yourself. That includes judging yourself, insulting yourself, and lying to yourself, showing hate, disgust, or contempt with yourself. Misusing your word is how we create a personal and collective dream of hell. This is how we pull each other down with us and keep each other in a state of fear, doubt, and negativity. Imagine how much more positive living would be if we practiced impeccability. I think it would be beautiful. In his own words, you will be able to transcend the level of existence he calls heaven on earth by mastering this agreement. We are all familiar with the power of words. Just like your thoughts, your words will have the force to attract and repel. It's like a sword with two edges that have the power to create a dream and destroy everything you hold dear. And according to Miguel, your word is pure magic, and the misuse of your word is black magic. He eventually goes on to explain that the word impeccable derives from Latin, and this word is translated to without sin. So to quote the book, everything you feel, believe, or say that goes against yourself is a sin. For an example, things you might say or think, thinking counts too. Judging or blaming yourself, self-harm, self-harm in general, not just physical self-harm, but a mental self-harm, self-rejection, and disrespecting yourself overall, to name a few. Don't think of sin as a way, like Christians and religious people do. Think of it as boundaries and common sense. Think of it as you're setting a boundary with yourself to not treat yourself that way. And when you do, you fucked up. You sinned against yourself. Now, actions are like spells. And speaking love is like pure magic. Misusing actions is like black magic. And people who love us do black magic on us without realizing it. They project their pain and fears into our minds and hearts unintentionally because they have not healed. This is why we should forgive them. They probably don't know, and it hurts us more to hold on to that pain. The more important part about being impeccable with your word is truth. An agreement based on truth is the only way to break the spell. Truth is different for everybody, so always agree on what works for you. That's very important. However, don't get the truth confused with gossip. Miguel says gossip is the worst black magic because it's pure poison. You know the telephone game, right? Where you stand in a line, somebody makes up something, and you whisper it into each other's ear until it gets to the end of the line, right? Well, by the end of that game, you would have received a completely different and untrue truth. Gossip works exactly like the telephone game, except for we don't treat it like a game. We treat it as the truth, and that's why it's so important not to engage in gossip because it's not always true. It's 99% of the time never true. It's always twisted. Each time it is told to fit the person who told it, their perspective. So if I told you something, I told it to you from my perspective. And nobody has the same perspective. That's why gossip is never good. Doing your best not to gossip decreases the poison in the well. Each time we misuse our words, it's putting us deeper and deeper into our own personal hell, which kind of creates a collective hell because there's a chain reaction. We all know about cause and effect. But at the end of the day, gossip is kind of just an opinion. And I don't mean to be kind of rude or harsh, but your opinion is nothing but your point of view. Do you see what I mean? Do you see how this is all connected? Your opinion is nothing but your point of view. That it's not a fact, it's just opinion, a point of view. Repeat that in your mind every time you hear something you don't like. It's just a point of view. In the book, he also talks about, here's a quote, impeccability of the word will also give you immunity from anyone putting a negative spell on you. You will only receive a negative idea if your mind is fertile ground for that idea. When you become impeccable with your word, your mind is no longer fertile ground for words that come from black magic. He also explains that you can measure the impeccability of your word by your level of self-love. How much you love yourself and how much you feel about yourself, how you feel about yourself are directly proportionate to the quality and integrity of your word, he says. When you are impeccable with your word, you feel good, you feel happy and at peace. That's why this is one of the most important and difficult agreements. And it's the first agreement. You might as well just get it out of the way. It's obviously going to take the longest to get a hold of. So if you use the word correctly, and use the word to share your love, and free yourself and make yourself happy. Tell yourself how wonderful you are, how great you are, and tell yourself how much you love yourself and how much you appreciate yourself. because you deserve it. But not only to yourself, but to others. Create some good karma for yourself with your word. Use the word to break those agreements that you've made with yourself, no matter how big and no matter how small. It's possible, and I know because, well, the author didn't, obviously, but I've read this book cover to cover and I've practiced, and I believe that it's worked for me. I mean, I'm already a pretty blunt person, but I'm still working on the not judging myself thing, and I mean, it's working, so you have no reason not to try, honestly. Just imagine what kind of dream you can create with your words, with the impeccability of your word. Leave that dream of fear and enter that dream of happiness. All right, so that was the first agreement. I hope you guys really enjoyed and resonated with what this agreement was talking about, because I definitely did. This book, again, was a really fresh and much needed reminder for myself, and I hope it gives you a reminder of your true power, because you already have the power, and this is how you can express your power with your words. And when we get on the next few agreements, I think you'll like those too, because my favorite agreement, I don't know which one it is. I love them all. I want to say the second, but I'm not gonna say because I love them all, and I'm just that kind of person. I'm that kind of person to be like, I don't like one color, I love them all. I love rainbows. Like, you see the rainbow in my freaking logo. Anyhow, I'm getting so off track. But if you like this episode, please don't hesitate to share it with a friend or a loved one, because it helps me out a lot, and it might help them out a lot too. Even if you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Now, I hope you have such a lucky time working on this first agreement, and I want you to remember that my work don't work if you don't work. Now, stay grounded, babies. Reading this